So today I have prepared my this presentation for like identity concepts and integration that we are actually going to face in our real worlds.
Right,
So today I will be teaching you about all of the out of the box connectors like source of truth, authoritative source integration, identity cubes, aggregations and identity refresh tasks, what is attribute mapping, and how does the correlation works between these identities. And the
right.
application onboarding part for delimited file we have already done. So let me help you with that.
Okay.
So first of all, Rafi, like out of the box connectors, which you are already aware of, these are the pre-built connectors or functionalities by any IAM tool. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not about only SailPoint, whether it is Oracle Identity Manager, Okta, Ping, they have their own out of the box connectors. What they do is
Okay.
they basically take review from their clients on an yearly basis that what was the most used application in their organization. So they take those reviews and consider the priority that this particular application needs their own out of the box connector. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
they take make a track of it and create those out of the box characters. So as of now, these out of the box functionalities are the best feature, which
Mm-hmm.
without minimal coding, minimal customization code, you can just configure the things. Like for example, we used our delimited file connector. There
Right,
we didn't have to write anything. We just have to configure the things. Like what
right.
is the file path, what is the file name, all of those things, what was the delimiter, and yeah, it speeds up your deployment and it ensures that best practices are made.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
So these are some of the examples of the out of the box connectors. So the best thing that you must learn in any of the IAM tool is how to integrate with any Active Directory, which is basically LDAP. So Active Directories are bidirectional, data comes in, data comes out as well, and it is used for the user provisioning. So whenever you're going for any certification or any interview as well, they will definitely ask you, like, have you worked with Active Directory? Do you know about the LDAP connection? Do you know how to do the configuration of Active Directory with SailPoint IQ? So you should know about it. And luckily, I will definitely give you one lab assignment where I will teach you how to configure your Active Directory with SailPoint IQ as well. We will just decide the date. It will take around 2 to 3 hours, and we will do all of the configuration with Active Directory as well. And
Got it.
yeah, second come to the workday. The workday is basically used by all of our HRMS people. SAP is also used here. So these are like SOAP REST-based characters. These are also pre-built like out of the box characters in there. And you can
Okay.
see the use case, new hire onboarding, and same for the SAP, HR master data feed. And these are inbound data comes from the HRMS.
Got it. Okay.
Now coming to the ServiceNow and JDBC. JDBC you might see, you might not see. It depends on the customized requirements that any particular legacy application is associated with Java. It is created on Java, and then you need to use the JDBC character for that. And ServiceNow in today's world, all of the organizations are using ServiceNow for ticketing system. I believe you must have seen ServiceNow till now. So yeah, there are a lot of demand for ServiceNow developers as well. But on the other hand, you need to know about how to integrate ServiceNow with SailPoint as well. So yeah, these are some few of the best examples that comes into picture like in every organization. So for
Okay.
example, there's one
So,
real life. Mhm.
okay, let me understand this chart. So you've got several applications, AD, Workday, SAP, ServiceNow, JDBC, etc. These are different
Yeah,
protocols that they're using to connect with
correct.
SailPoint, good for the configuration.
Mm,
Bidirectional or inbound, outbound, basic. Bidirectional means that data can go in and out of that application into SailPoint and out of SailPoint both. So you can pull things
correct,
from SailPoint into the app and export things from the app to the SailPoint, right? And
correct,
then there's inbound and
correct,
outbound, which is basically, whether you can pull things in or out. And then
correct,
use case, Active Directory is for user provisioning and group sync. We're using our Workday for new hire onboarding,
correct.
SAP. For HR, master data feed. ServiceNow is request fulfillment. And then JDBC is a customer application user management.
Yeah, Java database connectivity. For example, MySQL or Oracle database is being used. So
Assalamu
yeah,
alaikum,
these
guys.
have.
Hello.
Whoa, we have a special guest?
I just
Who
came
is
for
there?
2 minutes. It is
Oh
the big
shit.
man,
Big boss
Mr.
just entered the
Kanish.
room.
How are you, man?
Yusuf, how are you?
Hey, brother. You don't message me back. You only message Rafi back.
Because I pay him the
I
big dollars,
messaged you
man.
back
You're
as
not
well.
important to him.
I know, I know. I'm just
Start
playing
paying the
in
big
this.
bucks, he'll respond to you too.
I wish I had big bucks like you, Mr. Solution Architect.
Better start making those money in the Dubai, man. Come on, you got the Arab money.
Yeah, give me a couple of more years. I'll be back to big money you, inshallah. Okay, very nice. Out of the box connector, example, use case. Very good, very good. Okay, I have to get back. I just want to say hi to you guys. Kanish, I will message you
Yeah,
later, my friend. We need to sync up.
yeah, definitely. I'm waiting for you, Yusuf. You told
Hey,
me
did
that
my
you
friend
will
did my
meet
friend
me.
interview yet or no?
No, not yet. I didn't get any message.
Okay, I'll talk to him today. I'm gonna see him in the office in a little bit. I'll set it up.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, guys.
All right, bro.
See you.
Sounds good. Catch you soon.
All right, man.
Okay, bye.
thank you. Wow, this link is open.
Yeah, I put it in our group chat that's got all the students that we're trying to help, all the people that we're trying to learn all this stuff. We're mentoring some of them. So I made it open to if anybody wants to jump in and watch. Yusuf is in that group too.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can get back again.
Sure.
So yeah, using these out of the box connector, you can directly just configure the things. And I'm just giving you one real life example. For example, in HRMS, any financial
Mhm.
company wants Workday to be integrated with our SailPoint. Then that's where we can use our Workday connector. And yeah, it will help us to do all the auto provisioning tasks.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay.
So I know these things are very basic, but since we are going for the certification, I want to make sure that you understand everything. And yeah, step by step, we will pace up and start with the complicated stuff. Like more, I believe in more like hands-on experience rather than actually learning and teaching theory. So yeah, these are just for the comfortable stuff. Then we can move on with our labs. So first of all,
Got it.
what is source of truth? What and why? Basically, you already know that source of truth is a primary source of information. Like the system should consider this information as the primary information that only this is true, nothing else is.
Right.
So that is the basic information about it. Common source of truths in our case are basically HRMS. In any organization, this Workday, SAP or other HRMS tools are the source
Mm-hmm.
of truth. Because whenever any employee joins the organization, the first data that comes into the organization is through HRMS. They will take the survey, they will get all the information from the employee, what is your first name, last name, your Gmail ID, and then what is your age. All of these information will come through the HRMS only. So that is our common source of truth. Then
Right.
these are for the other example, like if they are students, their information systems are basically the source of truth. Then flat files, why we need to understand flat files is basically, Rafi, like whenever there is, for example, Workday is there. Workday is based on cloud. Not for the very first deployment, whenever you're doing, they will not directly give you access to their cloud. They will not give you the client ID and credentials to integrate directly for your user acceptance testing, which we say is like the testing environment. In testing environment,
Mm-hmm.
they will say, okay, you just want to go and check how to do it. Instead of using our cloud credentials, take a flat file instead. So they will export all of the data into a CSV file and provide that to you. that if you only want the data, just use the flat file instead of our client credentials. And once you are
So that,
comfortable that you are. Mhm.
no, sorry, I'm going to just interrupt and say that so that they don't get access to the actual source of truth itself, right? You're just exporting it and give it to somebody instead of giving them access to
Correct,
your source of truth.
correct. They don't want you to like access that in the very first place.
Right.
So if you want to do the testing instead of doing with the actual source of truth, they want you to use the flat files and do the integration using that. When you are
Right.
comfortable and you are confident that you are able to do, then you will move to the production after doing all of the testing on the testing environment. Then they will provide you the actual credentials and you will do the testing on the production.
Right.
So that's where flat files come into the picture. And yeah, in some of the cases, when you want to do the user reconciliation. User reconciliation is basically whenever we are integrating any of the file first time. So
Mm-hmm.
there are already users which are created on that particular application which have access to some particular roles. So in the very first time, we need to synchronize all of that information into our SailPoint identity warehouse.
Okay.
So that will be the first time where we want to synchronize from the target applications as well. So they will provide all of the information via flat file as well. So in flat file, it will be written as like name, first name, last name, their employee ID, and the roles they have access to. So you will directly fetch that file and import all of the data from that file into your identity warehouse. So once that user reconciliation is being done, now that target application will store all of their modifications and all of the modification will happen from SailPoint only from that time onwards.
All the
So it's
modifications
the,
to what? To the source of
to
truth?
the to the
That's
target
right.
application.
Right. You'll
I'm giving
control,
you
I mean,
example for flat file.
so in that case, SailPoint would be the hub and the target application would be the spoke, that kind of relationship.
Correct, correct, definitely.
Okay.
So why it's important? Because it drives the initial identity creation.
Right.
Now, how it works? So basically, whenever there is like any source of truth, it exports data daily. Like you have to configure some tasks, you have to schedule some tasks on a daily basis because
Mm-hmm.
your organization is not waiting for you to hire any employee. They might be hiring employees on a daily basis, on weekly basis, whatever they do. So according to them, you have to synchronize your tasks with the source of truth as well on a daily basis that you get the updated information every time.
Mm-hmm.
Why so? Because you need to know what are the employees who are joining, what are the employees who are leaving the organization. So all of this stuff happens on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So SailPoint IQ basically does is that ingests the data via connectors, and these connectors are flat file or REST APIs. So as I told you recently about these user reconciliation. So user reconciliation you can do via two uh, uh, two things. One is flat file and second one is REST API. Any
Mm-hmm.
application can either expose an API to you, so you can directly consume the information using API. Or if they are not comfortable exposing an API with you, then they will just give you a flat file, and then they have to provide you flat file on a daily basis or weekly basis, however the data is creating in your organization, and you have
Okay.
to feed that flat file to your connector on that timeline only. Otherwise,
Right.
you can automate these things as well. So that's how it actually works. And yeah, whenever the identity is created or updated, any updation or creation is happened, then you will detect those changes and you have to synchronize it on your identity IQ warehouse.
Okay.
Now, these are some of the mandatory fields which are mapped to any CSV file or REST API. We call it as mandatory attributes. That is name, email, department, title, manager, and status. In status, that's how you will get to know that whether the user is active or not. So it will give you two outputs in active or inactive via flat file or REST API. That's how you decide that what status in SailPoint this user should have. If it is disabled, then it shouldn't have any access. So that's how it is.
So that flat file is but basically gonna have all of those attributes of the person and also their account status, like suspended or yeah,
Correct.
active, whatever, right? Those kind of things,
Correct.
information.
Status is very important. You should know like whether the user is active or not.
Got it. Okay.
And yeah, just a very basic real life example that whenever you are using in university, like student records their central registrar system on a daily basis, and in offices, in organization, whenever any employee is joining, you have to update that in the first HRMS then to the SailPoint as well. So yeah, these kind of
Mhm.
things happen. Like in my organization, all of the onboarding process occurs on Tuesday only. Like you will be
Mhm.
given offer letter for only the day of Tuesday. So they do a onboarding event on Tuesday, and we fetch the record from HRMS on a weekly basis. So that depends on the organization to organization.
Got it.
Now, you might have seen that whenever we were doing our delimited file connector onboarding, there was one option as authoritative source integration, and we checked that box, which basically marks that any system that is being marked with authoritative source, it is allowed to create and update identities. Like the data can be created and updated from source of truth. So they can update or create any identity and then give it back to us. But when we are talking about the target application, then we need to uncheck this box because now target applications are not allowed to do this creation and updation. That should be done from SailPoint only. So I hope you understand the difference between it.
Yeah, it's almost like SailPoint is kind of like it's like if you win a war, right? You go into the country and you
Hmm.
take over all their commands. You take over their parliament, their government, everything. You become the centralized control system. So it's almost like that, basically. Once you onboard the application and you make SailPoint the authoritative application, you cannot go into that application itself, the target application, and make all those changes because SailPoint now becomes the authoritative application. So any changes you want to make, anybody you want to upload, delete, change status, etc., into the target application, you do everything through SailPoint.
Correct. And now coming to how to configuration part. That is basically the way I have told you. Like first you need to go to the application configuration. Basically it is clicking on application, then application definition, and then you need to check box, mark it checked as an authoritative source. And then you
Mm-hmm.
need to set the identity attribute mappings as well. The things we did on the scheme configuration and then schema part. So
Mm-hmm.
why it matters is basically it controls the identity lifecycle, like how the identity is being created, how it is being updated, all of the joiner mover stuff. And it determines which application can trigger identity creation. For example, in our case, Workday is the application where identities can be created.
Can you go back one more time? I'm sorry. One more time. Back slide. Last slide. Okay.
Once,
Yeah.
yeah, let me open it.
How to configure in IIQ. Go to application, mark checkbox authoritative for identity, set identity attribute mappings, why it matters, ensure control identity lifecycle, determines which application can trigger identity creation. Okay, got it. Oh
So
wait.
for
Okay,
example,
so
like
as far as SailPoint controlling those other applications, it's just for identity. Not all other stuff too, right?
all other stuff, what you mean like?
Okay, so for example, let's just say I onboard like Salesforce. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Salesforce, you
Okay,
have users that have certain rights and privileges and stuff like that, right? But you also might have
correct.
other things in Salesforce. Maybe like, those, I don't know, you want to change the theme of the Salesforce, you're a tenant or whatever else, right? Those kind of things you would
Mm-hmm.
not do through SailPoint. You would do that directly in Salesforce. SailPoint is only taking care of your actual identities. That's the only thing SailPoint is controlling, right?
Yeah, identity lifecycle, all of the user-related operations, all of the processes, tasks which are related to users, that is like basically managed by any IAM tool. So that's how it is. So all of the lifecycle management, your business workflow as well, like what should be the thing that should trigger this request, who should get the approval, all of these things are like included in the sale point.
Got it.
You
Okay.
getting my point?
Yeah.
So yeah, an enterprise can use SAP, Workday as their HRMS, and they are basically feeding the sale point through scheme APIs. And the integration is configured as authoritative. So basically, authoritative they are doing so they can create and update the records. And what is the benefit here in our real life scenario is that you can fully automate this onboarding. You can
Mm-hmm.
define that at what time it should be synchronized with SailPoint on what day, on what time, and it
Mm-hmm.
will the real-time updates will happen via REST APIs. So
Mm-hmm.
the configuration is done via REST API instead of flat file. So
Mm-hmm.
you just insert the identity trigger. You just have to provide the trigger, and the business process will work. That whenever this particular time reach, you need to do the reconciliation via this API, and you need to do the data entry, and no manual intervention is there. So yeah, that is some real life scenario over there, and we can
Mm-hmm.
achieve it. So coming to the next uh, theme, that is like identity cube. You must have heard it about a lot of times from me as well. So identity cube is basically a representation of an any identity, like all of the information. Like for example, Kanish is an employee of any organization. So all of the information about me is stored inside an identity cube. It creates an object named of Kanish, and inside that object, all of the information, my name, first name, last name, my accesses, email, date of birth, all of the things are like merged inside that particular identity cube. And we can see that identity cube in the UI as well. And I will show you soon. And yeah, that's basically identity cube. It's basically a very uh, famous, or you can say popular interview question. That's why you need to just know about it. What is an identity cube and how to see it? So when you go to the identity, there is drop down. There you click on identity warehouse, and inside that identity warehouse, whenever you click on any identity, it will create a identity cube for that identity. So yeah, the contents for this is particularly like attributes like name, email, department, account links. What are the accounts he has access to? What are the roles he's been assigned to? Any entitlements or any groups he's a part of, for example, security group, IT group, and any policy violations that will be triggered inside that user. So all of these stuff is inside identity queue one.
Got it.
So Identity Cube real world navigation, where to find that I already told you that you need to navigate to the identities. Then inside Identity Warehouse, you can search any user and then you can view the tabs. There will be like the entitlements, application accounts, their mandatory attributes, then risk policy violations, any events occurred or any history of that user. All of these things are included inside the Identity Cube. Now coming to a very important part, that is like identity refresh. So whenever you are doing the onboarding of any application, you create a lot of accounts in your SailPoint, right? Even in
Mm-hmm.
when we were working with that delimited file, we onboarded that CSV file, and those identities were created inside that particular identity warehouse. But the task we used was account aggregation. Account
Mm-hmm.
aggregation we use for identity creation. But whenever
Mm-hmm.
there is like any update in the identity, for example, like any particular business logic is changed or any attribute is being changed for that particular identity. Suppose I have changed my last name. So that needs for that we don't need to create another account or any other thing. We just need to perform the identity refresh task. It will basically refresh all of the identities if there are any minor changes, any updations happened in that identity. After running the identity refresh, it will evaluate all the IDs and uh, do the changes which are required inside the identity IQ warehouse as well. So this
So
is
where are
a
the
identity refresh
changes coming from? Where are the changes coming from?
from your authoritative source,
From your source of authority, which is?
which is HRMS in our case. HRMS
Got
in
it.
our case,
So
Active
once you've
Directory.
configured the two and made the sales point the source of authoritative source,
Hmm,
right? If
right.
that's the case, then why are identities still being created in the target application, and why are they not getting added to the sale point to begin with? Why are they being
Okay.
provisioned in the
So,
target application first?
okay, to answer that question, let's take a real life example, like in any organization. In SailPoint, you are just going to sync all of the users. It's not going to happen that you are going to create a user from SailPoint. Like whenever user onboards to any organization, user is already created, right? User is being fed to the Active Directory. See, user exists. Now the SailPoint part comes in that whenever this user needs any birthright access, any access to the application, that should happen through the SailPoint only. So whenever the previous users are already created. Now, after the integration is done, now the this user creation should also happen from SailPoint only from now onwards. Once the SailPoint is being integrated. Now, coming to your question that why we need to do it is basically because that now the users are created, but whenever there is any change in a user part, like for example in Active Directory or anything, then the point is SailPoint will not directly know that any change has occurred. If any change has occurred, we need to perform the identity refresh task so that what SailPoint will do is it will actually compare the data from the source of truth and the data which is right now in our warehouse. And if there is any changes, then it will configure those changes in the warehouse as well. So that's how the flow works actually, because it's not like you can directly change anything in your attribute. You don't have the permission. It's only in the exceptional or rare cases when it's actually happening, like someone changed their name or any last name changes are there, any attributes like phone number is being changed, that kind of changes. So it's a very rare task as well, but yeah, these things happen. I hope like it answers your question.
Yeah, so basically, if the HRMS is the source of truth application, but SailPoint is the
Hmm.
authoritative application, SailPoint is basically being used to govern, access from that application or to different resources to the users of that target application. You're doing all those things via SailPoint. However, in terms of updating the actual attributes or adding new users and those kind of things, creating new users, those things are still initially being happening or are happening inside of the HRMS application, right? Which, like for example, are synced to Active Directory. So when you're coming to SailPoint, you're basically hitting a button of some type saying refresh identities or whatever. I think what was the
Hmm.
yeah, I think it was a refresh process. And when you do that, SailPoint is basically syncing back to the Active Directory and to the HRMS, getting the newest information and updates about those users, who was added, whose attributes were changed, all those things, and I'm updating all that in SailPoint again, right?
Correct. And why it is important to do everything from SailPoint is because it's a part of the auditing uh, thing as well. Because whenever auditor comes and he just picks a random ID that why Kanish ID is having access to that particular application. Is there any sign off for that? Is there any like proof that this access was given to him? So whenever any access is being given to any user, it creates a log inside SailPoint as well. So that log is the confirmation that this ID was created, this ID was given access, and this was the manager who approved that request with the timestamp. So that's how auditing is also being managed. So that is also one of the major reason why we use the IAM tool in the first place.
So does
So
SailPoint
yeah,
have any kind of batch aggregation versus full aggregation? Basically, like for example, one option is to do
incremental and partial.
yeah, yeah. Does it have that?
Yeah, yeah. It has. You have to like configure some things and you can perform those. Otherwise, in identity refresh, if you use the by default task, it will directly like configure all of the, sorry, not configure, synchronize all of the identities, but you need to provide the filter queries, or you can customize a little bit and you can do the incremental and partial aggregation as well. Even in identity refresh task, there are a lot of options. Using that, you can select what needs to be done. So yeah, there are some filters over there.
So in typical by default, do people usually do like a incremental refresh usually? Or do they do a full refresh where they go through every identity and check everything?
They do both, but the timelines are different because identity refresh is a task is a bigger task. It refreshes all of the identities, and in
Mhm.
organization there may be lakhs, like thousand, hundred thousands of IDs are there.
Mm-hmm.
So that identity refresh task should like happen, I believe, like weekly or monthly, but yeah, it's not on the daily basis. Whereas the incremental or partial aggregation you're talking about, that should do daily regarding as per the requirement of any application. Suppose some applications are having access on a daily basis, while others are not creating or updating their employees on a daily basis. So they don't need like quick incremental tasks. Instead of that, uh, instead of those, all the other applications are scheduling their task on a daily basis. So it depends on the requirement basically.
Right. Got it.
So yeah, when we can use the identity refresh task, it's basically always after the aggregation, post aggregation. Once you have aggregated the accounts, then you can use it. Or after role changes, any role access is changed, or any policy updates are there, then you can run the identity refresh task.
So
So
aggregation
this task
basically
goes
means what? Like syncing up all the identities from the target application into the cell point?
correct. And that identity will be created inside SailPoint as well. Now they can log in into the SailPoint portal using that credentials.
Okay.
For example, last time we did the onboarding task and there I helped you create one password as well. So using that password, that identity can now log into SailPoint IQ homepage as well. So
Right.
that's how, and we did the account aggregation task as well. And I believe the next, yeah, the next slide is regarding aggregation only. So it, the purpose is basically like pulls external account data into the IIQ, and the types of aggregation tasks are account aggregation, and this is the aggregation which we actually did previously. And other than that is account entitlement aggregations, the rules basically, and then not rules, roles, and then the group aggregations. If there are any groups inside that application, then you need to do the to perform the task for those as well. For example, IT groups, security groups, and other than that, your role groups are there. But in our case, we have done the account aggregation, which basically means it created those accounts from the external source. We got the data from other application, and then we created the account respectively in the IQ as well. So that's how it is. And after running this aggregation task, you can move towards through the identity refresh task. So it's like a best practice. After doing the aggregation task, you need to do perform the refresh task as well. One second.
Okay, got it. Let me read this slide real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, definitely.
Pulls external account data into the IIQ types, account aggregation, entitlement aggregation, and group aggregation. So account aggregation would be all the new accounts and stuff like that, pulling all those in. Entitlement aggregation would be basically all the different permissions and levels of permissions and stuff that they have. Group aggregation would be all the different groups that they were part of, like Active Directory groups or whatever other groups, marketing, this and that, all those different things, right?
Correct.
Right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then trigger methods would be manual via task scheduler. So you can set a schedule for it manually and say, hey, run account aggregations every, I don't know, every 2 weeks or whatever. Entitlement aggregation every 3 weeks. Group aggregation every 3 months, something like that. And then automated via rules or schedulers. So automated and use case for that might be like, after every
Yeah. After
like you
every
could,
week.
right, or after a certain number of events have taken place or something like that, right? Like say, for
Correct.
example,
There is
after.
not any correct answer for this. Like it totally depends on the requirement, right? It depends on the organization, depends on the user strength. So all of these things take into picture.
Right, makes sense. I was just trying to think of a use case where you'd want to do the automated via rules or schedulers, but I think I get the idea. Those rules may be like based on certain things. Like for example, you could set a rule like after, I don't know, after there's every 10 groups, do an aggregation process, something like that.
Mm. Yeah, this scenario can also be taken.
Got it.
So yeah, that is correct.
Can you give me a fruit? The red fruit that I have, the boxes? Yes. Thanks.
So
And
basically
or
the flow is
yeah.
all right. So flow of aggregation is basically that the source system, in our case flat file, exports the data. Then IQ connector typically reads that data and parses it, and then the aggregation task runs. And the identity refresh task updates the cubes. All of the changes that occur that should now be visible to the admin and the users inside the identity cube as well. And we need to make a habit of checking the logs if any exception is there or anything is there. For that, IQ.logs or SailPoint.logs are there, which we need to configure in our system as well. And
Mm.
yeah, after the aggregation occurs, I showed you uh, when we did the onboarding task as well. I showed you that there is a report as well, which shows how many users were successfully uh, aggregated, sorry. And if any failure is there, it will be shown there as well. So that's the flow occurs.
Go back to the previous slide one more time.
Yeah,
Okay. So aggregation flow diagram. Source system exports data. Could be flat file or directly from the database. IQ connector reads and parses the data. Aggregation task runs. Identity refresh updates cubes. And it creates a log of those tasks that were done. And there shows you what was done. Right?
yeah, correct.
Okay. And I
Hmm.
think some companies use Splunk to maintain all these
Yeah,
logs.
yeah, a lot of organization use Splunk for that, correct.
Gotcha.
In our personalized computer, like in our personal machine, we can set up the logs in Apache Tomcat. So I will help you do that. Let's see if we can do that today only. So we will
Okay.
configure logs in our system as well.
Okay.
It's just, sorry. Identity attribute mapping and okay. Actually, online slides are not visible like how they were visible in the offline.
Yeah, it's about to say
I
top
just
left cutoff.
uploaded those. Yeah, as of now, I was just directly get to you, so I used the online version.
Right.
Anyways, so this
What
is
does the
regarding
title
the
say?
attribute
What does it
mapping.
say?
Yeah, identity attribute mapping.
Okay.
This is great.
Okay,
Identity
let's see it.
attribute mapping, what and how.
Hmm.
Full screen, I don't know, some issues with presentation. Anyways, so what is identity attribute mapping? It is basically like mapping the external fields to our internal identity fields. For example, in your source application, let's take an example of Workday. In Workday, the attributes are field, employee email, employee title, and then the employee department. Whereas in identity, we call those fields as attributes. And instead of
Right.
employee email, we use identity.name. Instead of employee title, we use title. Employee underscore department, we directly use the department. So there is a mismatch of the attributes. Now, if we
Right.
directly feed that information to our identity IQ, it will not understand whether it is email or what it is. It just don't know.
Hmm.
So instead of directly importing the data, what we do is inside the schema configuration, if you remember, we
Yep.
discovered the attributes and then we provided that whether this is like identity attribute or not, if this is a display name or not. So that was the
Right.
first thing where we decided the mapping. But after that is done, again inside the IQ warehouse, these fields are being these fields are being basically written as this way only, identity name and all. And if you remember correctly, when you clicked on the created user, in the first page, you were only able to see the username. Instead of that, all of the fields were empty. Why?
Right.
Because Identity IQ still don't know how to relate these things. Uh, IQ doesn't know that what is title, what is email. So you have to configure those from the either debug page, and then you need to do the identity mapping as well. In that
Right.
identity mapping, you will do the mapping email with the email that is present in the IQ warehouse, employee title with the title, department with the department.
I don't
And
need one.
once you
Give
have
me the
done
torch.
this,
Hmm.
once you have done this, then you will run the your refresh task again. So
Right.
once that refresh task will be run, then all of these attributes will be visible on the warehouse as well. So that's
Right.
where we do the identity mapping as well. Now there is two types of identity mappings. One is source, second one is target. When we are mapping from source to identity, that is source attribute mapping. And when we are doing from identity to target application, then it is target mapping. So very simple, just a question that you might heard in interview. So you should know what is the attribute mapping.
Source mapping versus target mapping.
Correct.
Okay, explain that one more time. Which one is which? It's a little confusing.
Very simple. Your source application, your source of truth is the
Yeah.
source. So when we are doing the mapping from the source to the identity, that is our source
Hmm.
mapping.
Hmm.
And when there is a target application, then we are doing from the identity IQ warehouse to the target application. That is our target mapping. Let me give you example. In source, it is HRMS. Identity is our sale point, and then target is our Salesforce or or another Dropbox, whatever it is.
Source mapping is when you're
That-
mapping from the source to the target application, right?
to the target, not to the sale point. From source to sale point.
The source being like in this case could be like the Workday.
Workday, yes.
Okay. And identity mapping is what?
Identity mapping is the umbrella under which source mapping and target mapping exist. So identity
So,
is basically the intermediate.
okay, so source mapping would be you take your people are in Workday and
Hmm,
you pull their information from Workday into SailPoint, is source mapping.
correct.
Target mapping would be your people are in
Hmm,
I don't know, your people are in Teams, Microsoft Teams, and
hmm.
you pull their identities from Microsoft Teams into SailPoint.
No, from SailPoint. Now they are not allowed to do anything, and we are doing the mapping from SailPoint only because it is a target application. So we will like basically do a linkage from identity.name to the target.name. That's how it is. Or maybe I have an idea. We have already onboarded the application. We can do the attribute mapping today only. So this will be very clear to you how to do it on the UI.
Source
How does
mapping
it sound?
is when you're going from Workday to
Hmm,
SailPoint.
correct.
Now tell me what is target mapping,
Target mapping is we are going from sale point to target application.
which is what?
Target application can be anything. Your Exchange, your this Salesforce,
Mm,
ServiceNow.
got it, got it. Okay, okay. Identity sits in the middle between the two.
No, no, these are two different processes. Once you're done source mapping, then you need to do the target mapping, and then once the connection is
Right,
established, then the flow will work.
right. But the identity always sits in the middle of the two things. You go from
Correct,
source to identity to target, or you go from
correct.
target to identity to source. Well, you don't go
Yeah,
to source,
that
but you
way
go
will
from
never
target to
happen,
identity.
but yeah, yeah, correct.
I understand. It goes
So if there is
from
any in, huh?
like you needed basically one, if you had one more column, you would basically on the
Hmm,
right, you would put target application.
correct.
So the flow would go from the left to the middle to the right, and they would go from the right to the middle, but not all the way to the left.
Yes, correct.
That's how the data would
I
move.
will, yeah. And since
Got it.
it's a nice idea, I will include that in the PPT as well.
Okay.
But yeah. So if there is any incorrect mapping, then there will be mislinkage and your mappings will not be correct. And in warehouse, it will not be visible and you will see a blank or empty space over there. So that should needs to be done correctly. So this is the thing that we are going to do today. We will, we have already done our application onboarding part. We have created the accounts, but identity mapping hasn't been done. So today we will do the identity mapping and we will match each
Okay.
field with the source application for in our case. Make sure that in our case, as of now, our authoritative uh, application is this CSV file, the
Right.
recent CSV file that we used. So we will be doing the source mapping today. So
Okay.
yeah, we can do it and we will check if it works or not.
All right.
Now comes the identity correlation concept.
Okay.
You're fine if I keep on continuing with the theory, or you want a break, or you want to do some labs now.
No, continue the theory. It's fine.
Okay. So identity correlation is basically correlating one attribute with the other. It's basically one example. So what it is basically that can link. accounts from applications to identity cubes. So, Rafi, what the thing is, in one organization, there is not a single account. There are multiple applications, multiple accounts are there, and one identity, one user can have multiple accounts. So there
Mm-hmm.
needs to be some correlation with those. So whenever the user is being given access to an account, a correlation is created.
Right.
That is one way of putting the things. Now let's come into the complicated part.
Okay.
Now the complicated part is basically which I already gave you an example as well, but now you will understand it better. Now there is one organization named X. Now the second organization is Y. So the Y
Mm-hmm.
organization gets the employees from X organization. Basically, they pay the X organization so that their employees will work for the Y organization as well. Now, this X employee is basically having already account from their own organization. That is, they have email at the rate x.com. But now they want to work for the Y organization. So they have to create another account that is at the rate y.com. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Only that way they will be able to access. But now since they have two accounts, that is one is at the rate x.com, second is at the rate y.com. How
Mm-hmm.
SailPoint will get to know that both of these mails, both of these accounts are same? So that's where correlation will occur that this particular Kanish employee is working in X organization as well, in Y organization as well, and the correlation between them is this email ID. So whenever you find a mail from at the rate x.com as well, please make sure that it is visible to at the rate y.com as well. So correlation is created. So that's how account correlation happens. That was one page or tab over there in the account application onboarding as well, where where we were actually uh, correl we were correlating the accounts. For example, manager ID with the employee ID. A
Mm-hmm.
correlation is being created so that whenever you click on any employee ID, his manager ID will also be visible. And if it is
Right.
correlated, then whenever any request is being raised from that employee, it will go to his manager's ID because the manager ID is being correlated. So multiple
Right.
scenarios are there, and you will like see all of those scenarios whenever you're working into this field. Just you need to know that what correlation actually is. It's basically relating one particular account with the another or any attribute, vice versa.
Right.
So the purpose is basically avoid duplicate identities, ensures accounts are linked, that X account is linked with the Y account as well. So duplicate
Mm-hmm.
identity will not be created. Single identity will be there and it will be having both of the accounts. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yes.
And where to find that? Similarly, the application definition page, once you're doing the configuration, there will be one correlation tab as well. That's where you
Okay.
can use the direct mapping, or either you can write a custom rule for correlation as well. In rules page, you can see there is a correlation rule as well.
Right.
But by default, you use the correlation tab.
Got it. Okay.
So correlation simple and rule based. So simple correlation is the same I told you, like match accounts email with our identity email. Very
Okay.
simple correlation has been created
Right.
that the account email is related to identity email.
Now,
Now,
what is in
rule
this
based,
scenario? What is the account email and like identity email? Like account email would be from coming from their target application, or
not target, Sarafi. Account.email will be coming from the source application,
okay.
and identity email will be our identity warehouse, SailPoint email attribute.
Okay. So in this scenario, oh, okay, got it.
Hmm.
Okay, it's the two different attributes, but leading to the same exact data field. I mean data point. Like the email address will be the
Correct.
same, just called two different things in two different applications. It's called one
Correct.
thing in SailPoint, another thing in the target application.
Hmm.
But the email
And
address
then if there
itself,
is any,
the data
hmm,
the data itself is the same.
Data is same. Yeah, data is same. It's just a correlation between both of them.
Right.
So yeah, lot of scenarios are there. This is just the very basic tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
Now coming to the rule-based correlation. So there you need to like read a custom logic if there is any particular logic for the requirement. For example, there are conditions like domain suffix should be there. Uh, like the same example I provide you, like @x.com, @y.com. So yeah, it can be any customization logic. But whenever there
Mm-hmm.
is any custom requirement, you have to provide the rule for that. And you have to write a Java-based rule like bean shell rule.
Mm-hmm.
And we will definitely do that as well. As I told you before as well, we will create emails, like basically create the email and then feed it to the IQ warehouse. Using a custom logic, we will use our rules.
Right. Got it.
And what is the best practice? Use rules if systems have inconsistent formats or duplicate records. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you are getting a CSV file, there might be a chance that there are duplicate data over there. Same name is repeating itself, or there are some empty or duplicate records. So that's where you need to like write a rule that please first go through the data and see if there is any inconsistency or if any duplicate record is there. So yeah, for that you can write a logic and then you can do the correlation instead of directly uh, using that information straightforward. But what is the actual scenario in the real world is basically any application owner gives you the CSV file. You
Mm-hmm.
definitely have to go through the CSV. You need to verify that the data is correct. It's actually in the format that you required. And once you confirm that it is right, then only you use it for the application onboarding. Otherwise, if there is any inconsistency or any mismatch of data, then you will revert back to the application owner that, uh, dear person, this your particular CSV file is having mismatch, inconsistent records. Please update it and send it back to me. So that's the basic approach. You don't do anything. You just provide that if it's invalid or something, then application owner will like update it and send it back to you. That's
Okay, so
actually
that's one way.
what
And what was the other way you mentioned the other one more time?
other one like the rule based.
Well, you said that if there's two people with the same name or something like that, then what were the ways to correct that?
If there is duplicate records, then yeah, basically your rule will basically either skip that record, like whenever your rule has the information that this particular person is like uh, is present in the CSV file for more than one times, then you need to write the logic, right? Whenever this name occurs again, skip that particular whole row. So only first one will be considered, any second or duplicate record will be neglected. So that's how
Okay.
you can like write a rule. But yeah, that's not the practice. You are not going to change any data. Only the application owner is going to provide you. So this is like the you can say conservative approach. Like even if somehow the data is being missed and you were not able to validate, then still there is a rule-based correlation that the rule will definitely check it for you again. So that's how it is.
Got it. Makes sense.
So yeah, the same example I provided to you, the contractor accounts, these vendor accounts, they have their own vendor mail as well, and they have to use their company mail as well.
Okay.
So the solution is basically write a rule that maps the first dot last in both systems, ignoring domain. So whether it is at the rate vendor.com or whether it is at the rate company.com, it will
Mm-hmm.
still consider the first dot last name in both the systems. So
Mm-hmm.
duplicate identity will not be created. And there will be correlation between at the rate vendor.com and at the rate company.com.
Okay, let me understand that one more time. So, um, contractor accounts use first dot last name at vendor.com. Internal use first dot last at company.com. Solution, write a rule that maps first dot last in both systems, ignoring domain. Like, basically, like if my name is Rafi.Chowdhury at vendor.com in my contractor account, and in the company it's
Correct.
Rafi.Chowdhury at company.com, you're gonna write a rule that says that if Rafi.Chowdhury is the same here and there, and the domain is different, then ignore that and consider them the same. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Right. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Makes sense.
Give me 1 minute.
Sure. Imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for this delimited file app, we have already done it. So
Mm-hmm.
a CSV file we have used, and we imported the identities and account from that only to from external systems. And this is our use case where we were basically onboarding the third-party contractors
Mm-hmm.
without APIs. We actually done the user reconciliation without the usage of any APIs.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to do it like periodic sync from partner systems again and again. We have to get the data, CSV data from the application on us on a periodic basis. Because if it was APIs, you can just hit the API and get the fresh record. But when we are dealing in files, then we have to definitely get the file from the application owner on like the periodic basis.
Okay.
Got that point? So yeah,
Let me
our
understand
first
that one more
application.
time. A flat file with delimited file app, what it is. A flat file with CSV. What is TSV? Excuse me, TSV?
C is comma, so T is basically 1 second. Let me check. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Tab separated.
Tab?
Tab, yeah.
What does the V
Like
stand for?
proper value. Comma
Value.
separated value, tab separated value.
Tab separate value. Okay. A flat file
Whenever
with
there is a
CSV, TSV format used to import identities that comes from external systems, use cases, third-party contractors, legacy systems without APIs, periodic sync from partner systems.
yeah, because we have to deal with them and we have to get the data again and again, the fresh data.
Right. These are the
If
different
it was
ways
an
that
API,
these are different ways basically that we're using. Basically, we have to use the CSV or TSV file formats whenever we're trying to do these things, such as when we have some contractors we're trying to onboard to our company, or we have some old systems that are not compatible, that don't have any APIs built, written for them.
correct,
We have to manually
correct.
export the things, and then, or if we have to sync with some partner systems or something like that on some type of cadence, we would use these
Definitely.
file format. I guess they're like batch file jobs and stuff like that that you can set up.
Yeah. And it only happens with the legacy applications. Yeah, same way the older applications. Because in modern world, all of the applications are almost having at least get users API exposed.
Right.
So yeah, that is for the legacy applications. But yeah, you should know because whenever API is not working, you gotta do it the delimited way only.
Right.
Now, steps to onboard delimited file is the same. We already have performed it. Create a new application. Select a delimited file application type, which is our out-of-the-box connector. You need to provide the file path and delimiter over there. In delimiter, you need to provide how your file is differentiating the data. In our case, comma is a delimiter. So whenever IQ see a comma, it will separate the values from that particular comma.
Right.
And configuration schema, you need to provide the count schema, entitlement schema is there. You need to provide the configurations. Then in schema, you need to discover the attributes. You need to provide all of the attributes which are considered in the CSV. Then you need to do the identity mapping, which is identity attribute, which is display name, and then you need to do the source to identity mapping as well. And then you need to run the aggregation task. And after aggregation task has been run, you need to perform the identity refresh task to actually make it visible in the IQ warehouse. So
Um,
pretty summary of all the things that we have done previously.
once again, let me read through this one more time. So steps to
Definitely.
onboard delimited file application is create new application, select delimited file, provide file path and delimitate. This is what we did last time, I think. Configure. Remember when we uploaded the CSV? This is what we did, right?
Correct.
Configure
Correct.
schema, account schema, entitlement schema. This is where you do the attribute, the mapping basically. And
Hmm.
define identity mapping. Okay, that's where the mapping is. Then run the aggregation, basically import all the people, and then do a refresh in SailPoint with the updated information to make sure all the right updated information got synced.
Correct.
Okay.
This is basically file format. You can see it is separated by comma. You have already seen it, just as example. Email, first name, last name, title, department status, and then there are the values. Where I told you like there are column headers. Like the first row is the column header. If this is not there,
Mhm.
email, first name, last name, then you have to provide it separately in that tab in the application onboarding part.
Right.
And yeah, just the tips like headers must match the schema, delimiters must be consistent, and it is UTF-8 encoded. That is a standard practice.
Hold on, let me see. Email, first name, last name, title, department status. John Doe, John Doe, IT, active, Jane Smith, account, finance, active. Can you go back for a second?
Yeah, sorry, I pressed the button. My bad.
And then Jane Smith, active. Basically her email, her name, first name, last name. What is her title? What department is she in? What's her status? Tips, headers must match schema. Delimiters must be consistent. So you can't use comma in one place and use period or semicolon another time. You have to keep them consistent. But the delimiter doesn't have to be a comma. Can it be a semicolon or period?
Yes, it can be anything. You just have to like make it sure that it it is able to read it. By default, it is like comma separated values only, and TSV file is also there.
But if you
But
wanted to make it
it
instead
can
of
be
comma, I
anything.
don't know, you chose to make it
Yeah, it
semicolon.
can be anything.
How would the system know? It just automatically knows by default, just based on the pattern?
No, we provided delimiter if you remember. There was a particular tab in which you were doing the configuration, and then there was an option of delimiter
Oh, we
where you
chose the
need to
comma.
provide what is the delimiter, and you provided comma. Yeah, but
Hmm.
yeah, no need to get into detail. We usually use CSV only. That is the standard practice in every organization.
Delimiters must be consistent. UFT8 encoded. What does that mean?
There's
UTF-8.
a practice like universal format. It's basically it's called. If you need detailed answer, let me just grab it for you. It's basically like Unicode characters Unicode characters, that is basically creating a sequence of 8-bit bytes. So some of the technical terms, which is like it is like backward compatible. Yeah, never got into the technical stuff to that. But yeah, usually all of the files are following this practice only. Whenever you're creating Excel sheet and you're saving it as CSV file, it will automatically be UTF-8 encoded.
Right. What does it
Kind of
mean
stuff.
again? Say that one more time. I didn't understand UTF.
It is, it's basically like you can say Unicode characters with a sequence of 8-bit bytes. That is the actual definition of it.
With 8-bit? What? Like,
And
what is that? What?
8-bit bytes. I don't know anyone. I'm not sure about the
Okay, it's not
actual
important to know,
explanation.
basically. Just skip it.
It's not important, just like the written thing over there. Yeah, it should be UTF-8 encoded, and all of CSV files are basically this one.
Right.
Some of the binary stuff it is when we don't want to get into it. Even I'm not sure what it is.
Got it.
And yeah, this one we have done, just a correlation we haven't done. Troubleshooting. This is the thing that we do need to do. If file is not found, then we need to check the path. If there are blank records, then you need to check the delimiter or the header. And if the identity is not created, then it might be like any missing or mismatched mapping. And if the count is not linked, then correlation will fail. And you should provide the log paths. You should like configure the logs. So those are the stuff that you need to do for
Okay.
troubleshooting if your application is not getting onboarded, you're facing any error. So all of the exceptions will be visible inside log. So that's why logs are very important.
Okay.
And if after
The
aggregation your task doesn't succeeded, then that logs.
um file not found, blank records, identity not missing and mismatch mapping, account not linked, correlation failed, log paths. These are the things, the steps that we would take to see what's wrong.
Yeah, if this thing occurs, then that is the thing you need to do. If file is not founding, then you might have provided the wrong path. Those kind of things.
Oh, those are the error
And there
messages
is
that might
any,
pop up.
yeah, correct.
And
And
those are
if
the
there is
common things.
any exception, then exception
Mhm.
will be visible inside IQ.logs.
Okay.
So this is basically the summary and best practice. Whenever there is out of the box connector available, we should use that only. And yeah, that is the best way of doing the integration. You need to design your source of truths carefully, like what should be the source of truth. You basically, it's solution architects come into the picture, like what needs to be done, what should be our source of truth, and there should be like clear attribute mapping. It should be not be like the name should represent what is the attribute. For example, employee dot email, it's representing email. It should not be like employee something something. So yeah, the attribute should be clear, and there should be some validation correlation logic as well. Like you should use your correlation logic with some sample data instead of directly using it towards the larger amount of data. You should first validate if it is working or not. And yeah, you
Mhm.
should create an end user guide and document every step so that even anyone can use those documentation and start working wherever you have left or whatever. So documentation is very important.
Use OOTB. What is the OOTB? Out of the box.
Out of the box connectors, which are like available connectors, pre-built connectors
Okay, and then
available
design.
inside our identity IQ.
Right. Design. What is SOT again?
Source of truth.
Source of truth carefully. Use clear attribute mapping. Validate correlation logic with small data samples. Document every step. Valid correlation logic with small data samples. Okay. Make sure it's working. We're testing it out, and then document every step.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's see the assignments. If onboarding a delimited file for contractors, we have done it. Configure as authoritative, we have done it. Map identity fields, we have done it. Simple correlation rule is pending. And identity cube, we need to update. So, yeah, that is fine, but I'm looking forward for the identity mapping thing. But are you available? Like the problem is I'm getting one call and I might have to take that.
Yeah, let's continue
So,
tomorrow,
how is
bro.
it?
We already spent some
Yeah,
more than an hour, I think. So let's continue tomorrow and then do the
yeah,
hands-on lab tomorrow.
yeah, I think that will be fine. So, tomorrow,
Okay.
instead of just one thing, we will do a full-fledged whole lab,
Okay. Excellent.
which will help you understand better things. So, yeah, let's
Yep.
do it that way only.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Sure, man, welcome. That's my
Okay.
job. I will definitely help you understand it better.
Okay. Sounds great, Ganesh. Thanks again. Let's connect tomorrow.
Definitely. Okay,
Okay.
take rest.
Okay, brother. Yep. You too.
Good night.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.